Change is coming. Hello, my name is Alex Does F1 Stuff, and today is another episode of my Formula 1 2020 Fantasy Prediction season. And today we are going over round number 12 in Hungary. Now, if you have not seen this series before, I'll pop a playlist link to round number 1 in Austria. Basically, the idea of this series is to use a bunch of maths. A lot of maths. I've created 2 separate maths videos behind this series, which again, I'll pop little cards to both of those. I've used a load of maths to take the 2019 calendar, which is why we're on round 12 in Hungary today, and adjust it slightly based off of 2020 testing and such, and hopefully produce a somewhat accurate representation of what 2020 could have been like. Also, there is a video of me preparing this entire video series, or just one episode, I think it was Britain or something like that, maybe Austria, something like that, from a blank Excel spreadsheet to the finished video which you are currently watching. Again, that will be a little card in the corner. Now, just before we get into practice qualifying and the race for Hungary, I just want to talk about the little changes that I have mentioned at the very beginning of this video. So it is Hungary, we are coming up to the summer break. I'm going to take a small little break. I've been uploading these fantasy prediction videos probably once a week, once every 2 weeks sort of time. I've tried to keep it as up to date with the official race calendars as possible, but we're entering what would have been the summer break now. So I'm going to take a small little break, adjust the maths a lot, considerably. Now that we've had 3 races of 2020, I'm going to hopefully implement that sort of leaderboard, so we're no longer having Verstappen leading most sessions by half a second, then followed by Bottas and yada yada. I'm going to adjust everything. I'm going to have a huge maths shake-up heading on into Belgium for the last 8 or 9 rounds of the season. I might make a follow-up video of it, I'm not entirely sure. But rambling out of the way, we've been recording for 2 minutes, this is a very long intro. We will jump on in to practice for the Hungarian Grand Prix and get straight on in to practice 1, which is again led by Max Verstappen, with Hamilton and Gasly behind in 3rd. Then it's Vettel, Magnussen, Ricciardo, Leclerc, Ocon, Perez and Sainz within the top 10, as Russell is a mighty P11 for Williams with Raikkonen behind. Norris has Grosjean and Kvyat for company in 13th place, as Stroll, Giovinazzi, Albon and Latifi are at the bottom, with Bottas failing to set a time. As for practice 2, it's top spot once again for the Dutchman, with Bottas bouncing back to P2 ahead of Gasly and Ricciardo now P4 and Hamilton in 5th. Raikkonen, Ocon, Leclerc, Giovinazzi and now Russell makes it into the top 10 for practice 2, with Perez just 2 thousandths behind the Brit. Kvyat has the 2 Haas cars behind him, as Sainz, Stroll, Vettel, Latifi, Norris and Albon complete the grid for practice 2. As for the practice sessions, it is now practice 3, and it is 3 from 3 for car number 33 for Max once more, as he has the 2 Mercedes behind him, who themselves have the 2 Ferrari cars behind them. Gasly is now P6 with Perez 7th and Russell moving forward once again to P8 for Williams, as the 2 McLarens round off the top 10. Raikkonen and Ricciardo are ahead of the 2 Haas cars, with Kvyat, Ocon, Giovinazzi, Stroll, Albon and once again Latifi rounding off the field. So once again it is looking like a Verstappen dominated race, but as we've seen before in this series, he has led quite comfortably the practice and qualifying sessions, but something has cropped up in the race. What will happen heading into qualifying? Let's jump straight on into Q1. Nothing can stop Max Verstappen this weekend, P1 in Q1, as Russell storms to P3 for Williams at the end of the session. Comfortably through as well is Hamilton, Magnussen, Perez, Leclerc, Sainz, Raikkonen, the 2 Renaults, Gasly and Kvyat. Vettel finds himself down in P14, ahead of Giovinazzi, just squeezing in, ahead of Grosjean, Norris, Stroll, Albon and Latifi, who are all out in Q1. As we head to the Q2 session to decide who goes through into Q3, it is Max Verstappen leading yet another session, the 2 Mercedes, Leclerc in 4th, and amazingly Russell makes it through into his first ever Q3 appearance of his career. Sainz is also through, as is Vettel, Perez, Gasly and Raikkonen in 10th. Out though in Q2 are the 2 Renaults, Kvyat, Giovinazzi and Magnussen in the Haas down in P15. So it is a Q3 session once again. Who will get pole around the Hungary ring? It is once again Max Verstappen who claims yet another pole position in my Fantasy 2020 season, ahead of Valtteri Bottas and Hamilton, with the two Ferraris in P4 and P5. Gasly is 6th for the Red Bull, 2 seconds down on Max Verstappen's pole lap. Sainz is 7th, Raikkonen 8th, Russell is a career best 9th for Williams, ahead of the Racing Point of Sergio Perez in 10th place. As for the starting grid, the top 6 of this year do not move from the top 6 of last year. It is Ricciardo who gains the most places though from 2019, gaining 8, and it is Norris who once again has lost the most with 10 places from last year. But it's all to play for on Sunday. Sunday is where the points are scored. Nothing comes on Saturday. Let's find out who will win the Hungary ring, who will lift the trophy. Let's get straight into it. It is 2 wins in a row for Max Verstappen as he wins in Hungary, 2 seconds clear from Hamilton, with Leclerc on the podium for only the 5th time this year. Ricciardo is a stellar P4 from 12th on the grid, just 5 seconds clear of Romain Grosjean, who finished 5th for Haas from P16. 2 solid races for the Frenchman there. Sainz is finally in the points for McLaren, with Bottas down in P7, just half a second ahead of Norris, who picks up points for the first time since France. Magnussen and Albon then complete the points paying positions, with Ocon just missing out in 11th place and Vettel having a dreadful race for Ferrari down in P12. Kvyat is 13th with Raikkonen just behind. Russell, after his best ever qualifying, is just P15 for Williams, a very disappointing day there after a stellar performance on Saturday. Gasly though is all the way down in 16th after his teammate Verstappen ended up winning the race. Will the Red Bull consider booting him out at all? Stroll, Latifi and Giovinazzi round off the race finishers, with Perez being the randomly selected retiree. As well as the race win, it is Max Verstappen who absolutely storms, 2.5 seconds clear of Bottas to the fastest lap, dominating the entire weekend, leading every single session, leading the race, winning the race, and bagging the extra point for fastest lap to boot as well. A perfect weekend for the Dutchman. But taking a look at what effect this has had on the championships then, we move to the drivers' gains, and it is a fairly even point spread, with the likes of Grosjean and Ricciardo scoring double digits of points as well. There are though a few shuffles, as both Sainz and Ricciardo move up a handful of spots, Leclerc moves ahead of Bottas and Magnussen clears Giovinazzi. As for the differences though, Hamilton's lead is now just 2 points heading into the summer break, as they both enjoy a 30-point lead from Charles Leclerc, now in 3rd, but Vettel is a huge 61 points back from Bottas, with Stroll still best of the rest, with the midfield as tight as ever. And here is a little graph of said championship. You can see the battle at the top with Hamilton and Verstappen, you can see the battle with Leclerc and Bottas, and also the battle between Vettel and Gasly, as well as just that jumbled midfield mess at the bottom there, with Stroll actually poking his head above all of it, with also the Haas of Romain Grosjean. But we move to the constructors' gains, and it's again fairly even, as Red Bull take 26, Mercedes 24, Ferrari 15, Haas, Renault and McLaren take 12 each, with AlphaTauri picking up just the solitary 1. As both Alfa Romeo cars slip down in the order in the shuffling after Hungary, I'm a little ahead of myself. Mercedes' lead has come down ever so slightly going into the summer break, just to 68 points, as Ferrari fall further from Red Bull to 25, as Racing Point is still only just 33 points clear from Alfa Romeo down in P9, so a lot can still change in the second half of the season. And once again, here is a graph depicting the Constructors' Championship change over time. Mercedes clearly out in front by a long way, with Red Bull and Ferrari still close together. Racing Point there just above that jumbled mess of 4 or 5 teams, with Williams unfortunately still at the bottom. And that is all I've got for you today, guys, for my fantasy prediction season. Like I said at the start, there will be a small little break from this one, probably about 3, maybe 4 weeks, as I just mess around with the maths and try and make it a bit more accurate. But yes, that's all I've got for you today, guys. I hope you have enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next video with whatever and whenever I decide to make it. I'll see you guys then.